Hey guys, in this video I'm going to continue my discussion on the Airwindows plugins that I put into a mixer with Mux here. It's changed a little bit since my last video. I've renamed it the Root Beer console, mainly because I kept writing AW Mixer over and over and over, and that just reminded me of A&W Root Beer. So I changed the colors to kind of go along with that theme. I extended the bus and auxiliary buttons up at the top so that they're a little bigger now. So as you scroll through, they're constant. So this one's the bus, and this one's the auxiliary. The main reason for this video today is to show the routing and what's going on, and how do we get all of our audio and our DAW to this mixer. The first thing we have to do is increase the inputs and outputs that Mux Modular can handle. And that is done in the Mux settings. In my case, that is in my program folders, or program files under Steinberg, I believe. VST plugins, yeah, and you'll see Mux 64-bit here. Then you go to User, Settings, and this main setup file here is just a text document. And you can see these 4 lines of text right here, which they're in the README file. When you download this preset, it has a README file, and they're in there, so you can just copy and paste it in. I've increased the input since I started this to 12. 12 for the effects, 12 for the synth. In this case, I'm not using the synth. I'm not even sure that would even really apply. But I just did it across the board. I left the outputs at 8 because I've found that the more I use this, the more I'm going to allow this to just output 2. So I'm not even using the 8. So first thing we got to do to start is to tell Mux it has these inputs available. In this case, this mixer is using 12 in and 2 out. Okay, the next thing we'll look at is how Reaper is handling this. Because I've told it, it's got 12 inputs and 8 outputs. That's stereo, so you'll see 12 and 24 and 12 and 16. Okay, that's for the outputs. And then I arrange them like this. The audio input, 1 left, 1 right, that's what Mux sees. Okay, I'm telling Reaper and Mux with this grid that I want 3 and 4 in Reaper to go to 1 up here in Mux. Okay, I'm not using 1 and 2 because I've learned that if I use 1 and 2 here, Reaper by default passes that 1 and 2 onto my master bus. So I don't want that happening. So I'm leaving that alone. I start off at 3 and 4 and just go down accordingly. 3 and 4, which would be a stereo channel, goes to Mux, audio input 1, left and right, and so forth. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever. We'll look at this again. On my outputs, I have 8 available, and I've just assigned them all to 1 and 2 for now. Because I'm not using any other additional outs. I might, change that later, but for now I'm just using 1 and 2 stereo out. Now we can take a look at our setup here, and I've got 5 tracks of audio. 1 stereo, that's my drums, and 4 mono. Well, looks like this main vocal is stereo. So I got a couple of stereo tracks and a handful of mono tracks. I could leave the audio the way I have it set up to where everything is stereo. If you want, that's fine. Or you could set these up in mono, and we'll take a look at how we would do that. So in order to send the drums to my track 1, right here, in this case it's just a stereo mix of drums. So I'm not using the whole mixer, I'm just using channel 1. In order to send it to channel 1 here, I would go into my in and out settings. I would disable the master send so that it doesn't go to the master. And then I would come down here and I would assign the audio 1 and 2, which is on the track itself, on the actual audio information. And I'm going to assign it to 3 and 4. I can assign it to a bunch of different things, but I'm going to assign it to 3 and 4. Because if you remember, back here, 3 and 4 correspond to track 1 on Mux. Okay. So we're going to do that for everything, and you don't have to open that if you don't want. You can just simply take a look at it here. You can see that the master parent send has been disabled so that it doesn't send its own information out to my master bus over here. Everything goes to my mixer channel. And you can see that 1 and 2 right here, well, let me open that up. 1 and 2 of that audio track are going over to 5 and 6. Now, this is a mono track. You can see it's only got mono information on it. So I could set this to 1, for example. Or I could, let's leave it at the source at stereo. But I don't need to send it to channels 5 and 6. And when I say channels, I mean it doesn't have to be stereo information, because if you remember back on Mux here, every input is stereo, okay? As we saw here, every input is stereo. So in this case, 5 is going to 2 left, 2 right. Or excuse me, 5 is going to 2 left, 6 is going to 2 right, but I don't even really need 6. I can turn 6 off and just let 5 go over to here. I'm not sure it makes much of a difference either way. At least not for this setup. If I learn differently, I'll post it. But for now, I'm leaving it that way. Therefore, I don't have to worry each time. If I've got stereo information, fine. If I've got mono information, fine. It's all going to one channel strip on my mixer. And again, out of my mixer, we can take a look at what's happening there. And again, this is, since my last uploaded this preset, I have increased it to 12. So that's what these 4 are now. They go to the same buses and whatnot. So you can see here all of my channels go into my bus, which has 8 channels, and it now has a master, 2 bus out. Okay, this is where that 1 and 2 out are coming from. They're coming from this. So all of these 8 channels go into here and then out of my 1 and 2 bus. And that is set up inside of here. I have it set up that way so that I can see a little bit more clearly when I'm wiring it together. I'll show you that in a second. Here is my output, which is output 1 and 2. So all of these guys go into here, which is part of the Airwindows console emulation, and they go out through the limiter as well as what's coming into the master input. Okay. And then all of that runs out through the limiter to my 1 and 2 output. That master input is right here. You can see it. That's the last one. That's actually number 9. And I have that there coming off of all of these guys. All of these guys are not connected to the bus system. They go directly from the input straight to the 2 bus without going through any of the bus system whatsoever. And on our mixer, we would choose that here. That's master 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now these lights, again, as I mentioned in the first video, are backwards. Think of them as mutes. When the light's on, it mutes that channel. So if I want it to go to my master bus, it's unmuted and there it goes. Otherwise, I keep it going to 1 or wherever I want it to go. Hopefully that's not too confusing. So that's how you would set up the routing for all of this. You can see it if you just highlight over. And for you guys that are using other DAWs, this is Reaper. It may not look like Reaper to some folks because this is the theme that I'm using. So, but it is Reaper. All Reaper versions should have something like this somewhere that you can hover over, and it shows you what's happening and where things are going. The guys at Mutools have told me that when increasing the number of inputs and outputs on Mux, be careful. Some DAWs may not tolerate that very well because they're expecting that plug-in to be, 4 or 1 or 2 or whatever it is. I haven't had any issues whatsoever with Reaper, and increasing it from 4 to 8 to 12 so far, everything is fine. But anyway, that's the explanation on how to route your tracks into the mixer setup. And obviously, if you add more tracks, then you would route them in different places. So if you got any questions, leave it down in the comments below, and I definitely check those and we'll get back to you. Have a great day.